Welcome
back
to the TAE Time Podcast.
Yay.
I know you guys are like, what the frick? This is a different set. What's going on here?
Yeah, we're looking a little bit different.
It's not what you're used to. Yes, so cat's out of the bag for everyone who didn't know. Got a house.
Yay.
You know, snaps. Yeah, so that's what we've been doing. We kept telling you guys that we've been busy, you know, like we've been doing things here and there. We've been, you know, really busy, and that's what we've been busy doing. We've been trying to move into this place. We fully moved in. So we're recording this on Wednesday. We're moved in on Sunday fully. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's kind of been crazy driving up and down because this is like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, depending on traffic. What's it called? But it's like 20 minutes, but 40 minutes depending on traffic, 40 minutes depending on traffic, but from where we used to live. So like we've been going every evening, like getting stuff in, doing whatever, all the stuff, you know, yeah, you have to do when you get a house. It's like a new build house, so that means like no one's lived in it before, you know,
yeah. First
owners in that. So that's a thing, you know, that makes things harder. But yeah, that's one thing we wanted to we knew
talk about today.
Yeah, we knew essentially like when we do our first episode here, obviously that's going to be the first thing we talk about because it's like you have to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah, address the elephant in the room,
like,
exactly.
Imagine just talking about something completely different and then it's like, hey, but what's with the set?
It's like, let's not address what's happening.
Yeah, so
or what you see. But
this is probably also not going to be the consistent with like, obviously we'll work around like what suits. Like this table probably will be it. But like we don't have blinds up right now, so like if it is a bit, lighting might be a bit harsh. But you know we gotta do what we gotta do. You know
I hope the sound is good though.
Yeah,
there's no echo.
It will probably echo a little bit because this kitchen, we're in the kitchen. That's where we're recording this, but it's a bit echoey. Obviously, we don't have anything to absorb the thing. We filled the kitchen is full, but we obviously we don't really have absorption. That's why I'm talking very much into the mic to make sure it picks up my voice only. And because I have the deep reverberating voice, I shouldn't echo, but Nicoletta might echo because she doesn't have it, you know. But who knows? Maybe what we might do is like, I don't want to do it, but we can get sound absorbers. But that's ugly as sin. But we could get like the pack and put it on the floor, and then like that would absorb the sound. But that's a whole different story. But let me stop interrupting.
Put ourselves in a little cage.
That would make it worse.
Really?
Yeah, because it echo in and out, like it bounce in.
I thought that the less room or space or whatever.
No, because like we'd have to be fully locked in there. Like,
yeah, we'll build a cage over us.
Like, well, it couldn't be like a cage or holes. It'd have to be completely like. Yeah. You know.
We can't breathe.
I'm good. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Come on, I see there you're jumping. What does Nicoletta have to say about this?
Yeah, so like Farouk said, he bought a house. I want to make that very clear because it's not like we didn't buy anything together. Farouk bought a house.
I said we got a house.
No, you said got a house.
Yeah.
But Farouk bought a house. And I want to make that clear because obviously there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that, you know, I prepared for Farouk today that I wouldn't be able to answer anyway. So today you're going to learn how to buy a house, basically. In Ireland. No, clickbaity.
Yo, obviously, period. Asterisks in Ireland. But like, obviously, the thumbnail is not going to be that.
So, what inspired you to buy a house at this point of your life?
Because I did it a little bit too late. Let me not lie. I'm 25. Like, I was like, I've talked about this in the podcast before. This is not where I thought I'd be at 25. So, I know I was like, all right, I want to do something. I want to, you know, guys, if you guys know me, you know I'm into that whole investment lifestyle, whatever. And one form of true investment, you know, long-term, oldest set of investment is real estate. So I bought property just to have, because my goal is to eventually leave. Mm-hmm. Going to leave Ireland. I didn't buy this to live in. I bought it to eventually rent. So my goal is to leave Ireland. So I was like, you know what? Let me buy something, have like a base like to fall back on, whatever, you know, and have this, and like if it's always gonna be there. something I'll rent out, hopefully get money off it, pay off the mortgage, pay off for itself, and hopefully get a little bit of profit, but we'll see how that is when it comes time to renting and whatever I can rent it for. But yeah, the main goal really was just to like have something that I knew that, okay, if I do this, I can leave the country.
Right.
Like, because I could, like, don't get me wrong, I could obviously have left the country without buying a house and just fucked off and just did whatever. But then I was like, I wanted to have like an investment property. So I was like, this was a good decision for me, kind of thing. So like, I was like, all right, this is a good decision for me. This will work out. And we'll see how it goes. You guys will find out later on if I did end up getting money off this or not. But
I don't think there might be an update. But you mentioned that, this house is here to like, stay or whatever. Like it's your fall back on, right?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself ever falling back on this home?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
God, no. Like, like obviously you say that like as a thing, but like my plan is to get multiple more things and houses to then rent and do on and like everyone knows I'm money driven. I'm trying to make as much money as possible. So like I would hope that this would not be the end and like, oh shit, everything goes to shit and I have to come back crawling back to this house,
At least it's pretty.
At least it's pretty. It is a very pretty house indeed. Big shout out to Nicola. Big reason why it's pretty. My pockets hurt, but at least it looks good.
Period.
But also as well, like my parents were also a big factor in me buying this house. They've been screaming my ears. Like anyone who has African parents, you hear it all the time. Oh my God, buy a house, buy a property. Especially when you're in your mid to late 20s, like all of you all know, like you're hearing all those things like this: buy a house, do this, do that. They don't shut up. They just keep screaming here. So part of that was, as I said, for me to have an investment property and also so I can leave Ireland and also to just quiet my parents down as well. Like it was two birds with one stone essentially, So like now that that's done, like
I think you would have done it regardless though.
Part of me thinks I might have not have done. I would have done it.
Really?
I wouldn't have done it to this extent. And maybe I don't know. I feel like I would have done it just because I have something under my name, right? But definitely part of it also is quieting down the noise that was in the head, like that wouldn't, be quiet, Especially like there was a lot of stuff going on in my life at the time that could have made me like not get the house, like because there were situations in which I could have left Ireland earlier, and that way if I had left, I wouldn't have had time to do this. Because guys, this process was long.
Which brings us to the next question. What is the process of buying a home in Ireland?
Very, very long. So depending on what you want to do, obviously, whether you want to buy like existing house and new build your own house, it's all still relatively the same, like just slight minute differences depending on which one you have and what other things you can do. But if you want to buy a house, you need to get mortgage approved, which means they will look at your bank account, they'll look at your salary, they'll look at your everything. Essentially, you have to get all your documents in order. Obviously, the standard government ones like passport, all those things, PPSN, all those things. But then they also look at your bank account. You have to go shopping to different banks for the best mortgage percentage rate. And, like different banks have different rates. So go have a look at which one of the mortgage brokers have different rates and stuff like that. But like mortgage brokers are kind of good because like essentially they can also help you. I didn't really need one because I knew I've studied up on what the process is to buy a house in Ireland. So I was like, okay, this is something I can do myself. So I just went to a bank and I was like, I want a mortgage. They're like, cool. Who the fuck are you? Like what do you have? And then, you're like, this is my salary. This is how much money I have in collateral. This is blah, blah, blah. This is whatever. But like the thing is, you can have as much money in collateral as you want. They don't give a crap. What they care about is your salary, how much you're making, how much you're taking in every month, and how good you are at saving.
I was about to ask, like, do they check like what your spending is like throughout the last few months or something?
They just get your bank statement for the last 6 months,
Okay.
So like if they want to check that, but they don't really care. It's more about how much you're coming in and then seeing if you're able to then pay whatever mortgage you end up getting, right? Because the idea is you can get up to, now you can get up to 4.5 times in Ireland, but at the time when I did it was only up to 3.5 times, and I got the full 3.5 times and so forth. And
just a quick question, because you did say that. Do you think it's a good thing that it went up to 4.5 times your salary?
Yeah, so you can get better houses, but
Do you
obviously
think that's
that
a good
also
thing?
could possibly end up increasing affecting the housing market by then house prices just going up to meet that, because they know people are having more money to mortgage, but at the same time, like, I think it's a good thing because it's going to enable a lot of people who weren't able to afford houses before to now afford houses. I don't know if it's going to be a good thing for the actual housing market in the sense as in, like, if the builders don't get greedy and start increasing the prices of the houses, but that's a different story. But for the actual people who want to buy houses, that's a good thing, I think.
But would you say there are some people at risk by going for homes more expensive than they should, like even though they can afford a cheaper one, and being in debt for longer?
That's you being a dummy dum-dum. Like, it's...
We're here to give advice, solid advice.
That's you being like, you should never take on a mortgage that you can't afford. Like, you need to look at and be like, hey, can I afford this mortgage? Is this something I can afford? Long term, worst case scenario, I lose my job, whatever, before I get a new job, whatever. Can I afford this mortgage in the long term? You don't want it to be a situation where, like, what happened in 2008 crashes, where so many people couldn't afford their homes and they repossessed the houses, But luckily in Ireland, there's a lot of, nets before that happens. They do save you, help you a lot, and do all those things. So definitely there's a lot more better things. But yeah, definitely, like, my not financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor, is do not take mortgages you can't afford. Take a mortgage that's within your means. And also, you don't even want a high mortgage in the first place. Personally, I don't want a high mortgage in the first place. That's one reason why I was perfectly happy with the 3.5 times. I did not want a high mortgage. I did not want a house that was stupendously expensive, and I didn't want something that was obviously also too cheap, obviously, unless it was good. Like, obviously, if I got a good house for cheap, God, I'm not saying no to that, like, but obviously the housing market in Ireland says otherwise. But yeah, anyway, you go into the mortgage process, XYZ, blah, 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 and it's not just because you, let's say, make 50K, right? Does not necessarily mean they're instantly just going to give you 3.3 times, 3.5 times that, right? It can go up to that. So if they see that you are a terrible spender, you cannot save for shit, they are giving you a low percentage, right? Because they're like, you would be able to afford repayments. Like, let's say you're making, let's just use absurd numbers, right? Let's say you're making 10K a month, right? And your possible mortgage could be like 2K a month, right? But if they see you're making 10K a month and you're consistently spending 9,000 every month, they're not giving you a mortgage that's going to be 2K a month, because they're like, you can't afford that because you're terrible with money. But if you're making 10K a month and you're spending like 7K a month, they're like, okay, cool. The mortgage, you'll still be able to pay off the mortgage because you still have 3K left in space, usually every month, and then 2K, whatever, So that's kind of like how they assess it. Like, obviously they might not be that scrutinous, but that's the idea behind it anyway. That you go in, you give them all these documents, you do all these things, and then they're like, bada bing, bada boom, boom, pow. Here is your mortgage. This is how much. They give you a total valuation of, let's say, like 250,000, right? They're like, 250,000 is the max loan you can take from us. So that means that's a max loan you can get from them in total. But your mortgage, like the house you buy, doesn't have to be less than that, right? It can be more than that. It could be less than that. It's all your decision, right? But you have to pay a certain amount down yourself, usually 10% down. So if you wanted to buy, let's say, a 250,000 house and you got a loan for 250,000, you have to front up 100,000 yourself, obviously, But if it's like a 200,000 house and you got a loan for 250,000, you can take a loan for only 200,000. You don't have to take the full 250,000. That's all your decisions. So those are all things that you can do yourselves they do. So like, once you get the mortgage, that's how you go through the process. You kind of go through that. They kind of ask you all these questions. They chase you down. You chase them down. You're like signing documents here, signing documents there. And obviously, once you then get mortgage approved, that means they're like, here, this is the house maximum we're willing to loan you for a house. Go have fun, off to the races.
Right.
Which is the best part.
Yeah. So, okay, say you have like a 100,000 euro home, rare, right? But let's say that's what we have. How much money would you say you need to have saved up before you even consider buying it?
Well, if you want to do just 10% down,
Yeah, say the minimum.
and you want to, and the house is already comes like furnished and everything, then the minimum you need saved is 10,000. You know.
But that's not true, right?
So, well,
there's fees that come with the house that we don't know about.
So yes, for just a house, the minimum you need saved is 10,000.
If I'm going now to the bank and all I have in my bank account is 11,000 euro, is that enough?
11,000 euro. Yes, technically, but at the same time, you'd have to get money from somewhere to finish the solicitor fees and all the other stuff.
Because that's the thing. It's not like a but. It's like, what do I need?
Yeah, because like it all depends. Like, the more expensive your house. So the thing is, when you also want to buy the house, the actual process of buying a house is a whole different thing, right? Is, as I said, once you get mortgage approved, you then go find a house. You actually have to go looking around, whether you have to buy a house against other people and you have to do biddings, or you buy a new build like I did, which means you just have to be the first in line to be like, hey, I want this house. They're like, cool, you can have it. You know, you don't have to bid against anyone else.
Which is nice.
Which is nice, you know, because I was in bidding wars.
Bidding wars were something that I didn't expect would have to happen. Like, what is this? Like an auction?
It is
an
auction.
Because say we'd go to see a few apartments or whatever around Dublin and they'd be listed as whatever 150,000, and then you get there and someone's already offered 200. So it's like, whoa, I didn't come in expecting to pay that much more.
Yeah, you have to have a limit. You have to have a budget as to how much you're willing to pay, because like if you don't, you just end up in this stupid bullshit cycle of bidding wars. Don't waste your time. Like bidding wars are very long. They're very long. I've been in this process for buying this house for like maybe like 7 months, but like the actual process for buying a home, I've been on doing this for like over a year now, actually, now that I think about it. You know, like I had like so much so that I had to get my mortgage approval reapproved because it only lasts for 6 months before, you know, you have to do it again. So it's very long process.
Yeah.
But so essentially, let's say you find a house, it's 100,000, and blah blah. You're like, I want this house. They're like, yeah, you can have it for 100,000. That's not. Yes, you're gonna put 10% down for your deposit,
which is 10,000
for your mortgage is 10,000. But then you have to then do a bunch of solicitor stuff to get the house in your name, to own the home. And
you have to do that.
You have to do that. Like, so you have to get a solicitor, and then they'll do all these things, all these document things. They're also going to do a lot of the signing this, signing that, bullshit this, bullshit that. And you have to pay the solicitor for doing all those things. Depending on the solicitor, they might just have an overall fee for what they do. They might have a fee for per document. Like you have to go to each solicitor to see. Like my solicitor had an overall fee, so they had like a consistent fee. And then you also have to pay stamp duty, which is 1% of the value of the home.
1%.
So that's only 1,000. So that's 11,000 plus whatever fees it is for the solicitor.
What would you estimate a solicitor fee to be?
It actually depends on the price of your home as well.
Say it's 100,000.
Like some solicitors will do it for cheap. Let's just say you found a somewhat expensive solicitor that was let me say an extra 1,000. Like it costs the exact amount of the stamp duty. It'll never cost that much, by the way. It costs less.
1,000.
Yeah, it usually costs less than the stamp duty or around the price of the stamp duty. But let's say 1,000. So that means that your 100,000 home that you're meant to only put a 10,000 deposit for ends up being 12,000. You know, and that's for a house in which you bought that is fully furnished. Obviously.
So hold on. In the buying process, is that it? Are those the only costs?
So the major costs are the solicitor and the house. But when I say the solicitor, I mean all the thing the solicitor does. Like the stamp duty, you know.
What is the stamp duty?
Stamp duty is just tax for, like, you know, essentially the house, 1% tax of the house. That
Is
you're
that
buying.
1% regardless? So like if you have like a 300,000, it's 3,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So like it's stamp duty is pretty hefty. Like the more expensive your house, the higher stamp duty is. And then you have all the other fees related to your house that you have to pay, all the things you have to pay to the solicitor, all those things come together, bam, boom, bada, bing. So all the solicitor fees, and then obviously pay the deposit to the thing. And those are all the major fees, like obviously you then have the miscellaneous stuff, which is also part of like the stuff you have to do is you need to, this for your bank now, your bank, they send out someone to survey the house, and you have to also get someone to survey the house, and then they do the snag list, so it's like a snagger, and what they do is check
Is this just for new builds or for all properties?
all properties.
Damn.
You have to get someone to go check the property to make sure everything's okay.
So the fees aren't done.
Oh, look, if you're me, you have to pay for the snagging. If you're one of my friends, you find someone in your church group who's a snagger and does it for you for free.
Okay, but I'm not. Like most people don't just know random things.
You would be surprised. I've been shocked how many people I found out that actually got their snagging done for free, and I'm here looking like a dummy and I have to pay for my snagging.
Okay, but like say this is a payment that I need to be aware of. How much does that add up to?
Probably like max 200 euros usually.
Okay.
So the first snagging is usually like max, like somewhere between 150 200 depending if you get a good snagger, or not. And then after that, it's usually half the price for follow-up snags, So usually you're going to have to get 2 snags. Like it's very rare that you're going to have the surveyor come up, do a snag, and everything's perfect. Because the idea behind it is if there's anything wrong, the person, if it's like a new build, the contractors have to fix those things. If it's a house that exists, it's either the person who owns the home fixes them, like pay someone to fix them, or it reduces the price of the home, based off whatever value it would be for you to sort that out yourself,
Interesting.
So like that's one of the things that has to be done in relation to the house. You have to you legally, like your bank will not sign off until they do it.
It makes sense because at the end of the day, it saves you as a homeowner from, say, things that are quite big that you wouldn't be aware of.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And stuff like that. So like those things have to be done. And then you also have to pay. Like when your bank, by the way, sends off their surveyor, you have to pay for that. They're not paying for it. They're like, it's your house, buddy.
And how much is that?
It's a standard fee. It's like 160 or something like that. Like depending.
Right.
And
so we're coming to around 12,500.
Oh yeah, like houses, like the thing about it is the process of actually like signing off on things and getting the house in your name actually is costing. That's things you don't know. Usually people think like you get your thing, you pay, you're done. But no, there's actually.
But that's why I wanted to ask you, and you're like, "Oh, you did it 10,000." Don't fool people.
Yeah, there's
Tell
a lot
them
of other hidden fees that start popping up,
Yeah.
And luckily for me, I had a friend who had just recently bought a house like a year ago, so I got as I said, I already read up on most of it, but then he would be there for anything. I'm like, hey, this and that, the other, and then I'd also ask because I wanted to know like if I was getting price scammed or not, because I was like, oh, how much did it cost for you to get yours done? How much did it cost you to get this done? How much did you get this done? And I'd be like, okay, I can compare it to whatever price I'm getting done,
So you can be that friend for our listeners as well.
Yeah. Not easy, guys.
Provide
but
advice.
yeah, no, like all those things aren't too bad. They do add up, obviously. But obviously, if you buy a house that's furnished, you're happy-go-lucky.
That's it?
If you buy a new build like I did, like a dummy dum-dum, there's a lot of extra costs there.
Yeah, would you say that you're a dummy dum for buying a new home?
No, because the reason I bought a new home in Ireland is because right now, up until the end of this year, but who knows, they said the same thing last year, and then they extended it for another year. There's the Help to Buy scheme, which is what I levied, which allows you to claim either 10% the value of the house up to 30,000. So anything above 30,000, like let's say, so anything above a 300,000 house, you can only get 30,000 back. In the tax you've paid over the last 4 years, you can get towards your house. So you can use that towards your down payment, which is great. really would
That's
recommend.
really important information if you live in Ireland, because it's something you can avail of, as well as the Help to Buy scheme.
Yeah, that's what
Right,
that one is, Help to Buy
what's
scheme,
the other
and
one?
then there's the new homer, the first time buyer, and then there's also another one as well. There's a few other schemes out there, but the Help to Buy scheme is the best one if you can avail it, but it's only for new builds and stuff you build yourself. But you get up to 30,000 in the tax you paid back, which is a godsend. At least you're getting it's a gift from you to you, because I wouldn't even credit the Irish government for it, because those bastards took your money in the first place. You're just getting your money back, you know, and so it's like as if you put 30,000 saved to the side.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good way to give back and try to encourage people to buy homes and continue to be in debt. But
yeah, but the thing is, like, new builds are annoying. Like, because most of them are very expensive. Like, it's very hard to find a new build that's not expensive. So, like, that 30,000 is really a drop in the pond. You know what I mean? A drop in the ocean, like, you know. So, in comparison to how much your house costs. But it's better. Something's better than nothing.
So, with a new build, there's a lot to it, right? Because, like, you have nothing.
Oh,
well, if you have nothing. Like, if you bought a lot of stuff in a previous home and then you're just moving homes and you already own a lot of the stuff, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. But we didn't have, like, we had kitchen appliances.
And that's all.
And that's about it.
That's all. We didn't have anything else. So, like, the biggest thing is flooring is expensive as fuck.
Yeah.
You gotta get floors in. You don't get floors for free. Luckily for us, the kitchen flooring and tiling and the bathroom tiling was already done for us. Mm-hmm. But the bedrooms and living room and the stairs, we had to do ourselves. So, got someone to do that. I guess, I know the comments would be like, oh, you could have just bought the material and did it yourself. No, I don't really have time for that. I have a full-time job and I want to get into this house as fast as possible.
No, because I think most people wouldn't sit down and do their own flooring.
TikTok and YouTube would make you believe otherwise, with the amount of people who have renovated their homes for the first time by themselves. Let's be honest, it happens a lot. You see it all over.
Like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm not about to put tiling in my home. I think tiling is harder than, like, say, putting down a wooden floor as it is. Mm. But also, like, I would never attempt to put down the flooring in my house. There's a lot you can mess up. It's a very, very expensive to fix. Yeah. So why mess it up? Just
pay someone on a outrageous amount of money. I'm looking at you. You know who you are to put floors in, and that's long. So you have to wait for that. Definitely find someone very professional. Find someone who has lots of good reviews, who has a lot of, like, someone who has done something for someone you know. Perfectly. Find someone who has done something for someone you know perfectly and did a good job, because if you find someone and they're terrible, and not like terrible at doing the job, but like terrible overall, unprofessional, annoying, chasing them down consistently, wanting to fight them because of how annoying they are, you're not going to have a good time. My floors are meant to be done in 3 days. 3 days. I knew it was never going to be 3 days. It would take 3 weeks. So that's why I'm just saying, find someone who is good and professional. Not just good, but professional. Like, because buying a house and dealing with all the headache before you get your keys is already headache enough. Doing everything after, like your floors already, is headache enough. Mm-hmm. Imagine adding more headache to the headache on top of headache.
Someone who preferably isn't using your kitchen while you're not aware.
So, yeah. Anyway, make your life as easy as possible and get someone.
Okay.
Like, you know.
I have a few more questions, and I know we're kind of running out of time here. So, to address the real elephant in the room, how are you at 25 years old able to buy a house?
I just got a small loan from my parents.
Yeah. Daddy's money.
A small loan of $2 million. Was that how much you got a loan for? Yeah, a small loan of $2 million.
Yeah, how did you save up to buy a home?
I didn't save up. My parents actually helped me. They gave me all this money. Anyone who knows me, that's not true at all, bro. I grinded. There's actually a really interesting person. It's funny enough that you asked that question, because my dad actually just sent something to, like, family group chat recently. I can't remember her name. I think it's like Nishan or something like that. She's someone who used to be an accountant, who is now like a financial advisor, does these YouTube stuff, and she owns, like, she's rich now, obviously, and whatever. And one thing she says is like trying to building your first 100,000 is a very important thing. I'm not telling you guys, oh, you need to go get 100,000. That's not what I'm telling you right now. There's a story to there. The idea is, she says, building the first 100,000, trying to get your first 100,000 is important. Whether you have to make sacrifices, whatever. And one of the things she says to achieve that is actually to buy a house, because you can rent it, make profit, or either if you can live in it and rent the other room, things you can do, right? Is more of the story. But so I knew I was eventually going to get a place, but I never knew when I was going to buy a place. That's one thing. I never knew when I was going to buy a house. I knew I'd eventually buy a house because I wanted to rent it. And I always saw so many financial people, read enough financial books, that I always claimed, buy a house and buy multiple houses, So I always knew that was something in my plan. So as I've said to you guys, and I've clamored it, invest in yourself first, and then invest in other things. Like the most best investment you can ever have is in yourself. If you invest in yourself, get a job XYZ that pays high enough or whatever, and then you start saving money,
or invest through education.
That's like whether it's education, whether it's in online, whether it's whatever it is, just invest in yourself so you can get better. And then from there, let's say you get a job that gives you X amount of salary. You can then maybe get higher salary. You can do whatever, this X, Y, and Z. And this is just, I'm talking normal path, right? I'm not even talking about investing in other stuff here. Just job, and then be smart. Save your money. Don't even forget about investing. So just save your money. Have enough money to get eventually build a down payment for whatever you want, and then boom. Like, be like, okay, the down payment is 10,000. I make this much in a year. By the end of this year, I should have the down payment plus, let's say, half the amount of the down payment for whatever else necessities come in between, right? So it's like 10,000. I want to have 15,000 by the end of the year. Figure out how you're going to save 15,000 out of your salary by the end of the year, and then start the process of buying a house. That is the bog standard, as Irish people say, way of going to go buy a property. Get it, invest in yourself, get a good job that pays you well, and then save the money you need for whatever you think you can afford based off like whatever your salary is, and then go buy a property, But the best way, the way I chose to do it is invest in yourself, get things, invest in other things, let those things give you a lot of money so that you have a lot of cash flow, and like, it's not even I'm not even out here making passive income yet. Like, I'm well, I guess if you count my cents I get from dividends from like a few like Coca-Cola stocks and stuff like that, they're like €1 a year. Like,
me getting you have Apple, what is it, Apple whatever, and it's like 0.01 cents.
Yeah, essentially kind of thing. Like, obviously, like, I'm not even out here making passive income here. Like, don't get it twisted, guys. I'm not fucking crazy like that. I'm not making passive income here. I want to make passive income, but I'm not making it yet. But
don't let the enemies know.
I made good enough investments to know that I had a bigger source of cash flow. As in, like, I had a lot more, like, if I wanted to sell this, do this, I had more cash at hand I could liquidate. I had assets I could liquidate to get amounts of cash flow. So once I got to that point and I knew, okay, I'm in a good amount, I have a lot of money investments, I have a lot of money in this, I have a lot of money in that, and I have a lot of money saved, because I still saved. I still invested, but I still saved. And that's the important thing. And then I went, bada bing, bada boom, boom, boom. I want one house, please. And it hurts your pockets, don't let me lie. I'm feeling the suffering now. But long term in the future, I'm going to look back and be like, damn, I'm glad I did that. When I hopefully have like 10 properties underneath my name, and I'm getting rent from every single one of my properties, like blah, 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 blah,
But you know how everyone kind of says, like, don't save your money, invest it all. Do you think that's wise?
No, you should. Like, the thing, I'm going to steal this from my dad who stole it from someone else, is you don't save to save for opportunity. You should never save money just to have money sitting. Like, what are you, a dragon? Like, dragons are the ones who just sit on gold.
How about emergencies?
Obviously, emergency fund. So essentially, first, save up until you have an emergency fund, which they tend to be like, it's 3 months of whatever your cost of living is. So for you to survive jobless for 3 months, before you can go get another job or another source of income, right? that's what you should. That's the bare minimum. Me personally, I would like to push that to 6 months. I think that's because like in this current economic crisis, 3 months is not enough to look for a job anymore.
Shit hits the fan.
You know, shit hits the fan real quick, and you can't really get jobs. But let's say 3 months minimum anyway, emergency fund, and then everything after that is for opportunity. Whether it's the opportunity to buy a house, whether it's the opportunity to invest in something at a low price and get, and you know it's going to do well. Whether it's the opportunity to do this, that, or the other. First, save for emergency. Once everything after your emergency is opportunity. Absolute opportunity. And that's how it works, guys. Like, once again, don't take any of this. I'm not a financial advisor. Just take it a massive grain of salt. Like, I mean, like a massive bag of salt, toss it at me, you know, like, but this is things I did, obviously, like myself, like, you know, a lot of this.
It just, like, it obviously sounds, you know, delulu to so many of us 25-year-olds listening, because it's like, oh yeah, you know, like just save all your money. But it's like, okay, half my money instantly gone on rent. Yep. Most, you know, 25-year-olds.
Me too, bro.
Half your money does not go on rent. Okay?
For a long time it was.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of us in that kind of like reality. And then also, you know, there's that part of you that I'm young and I want to explore and I want to travel and I want to have fun with my friends. And if I want to do any of that, it's really hard to save money for a house. You know what I mean?
And one thing I always give advice for that is, and something I do myself, is if I know I'm going to do a lot of things, do you know what I think about is, and Nicoletta was funny, I said this to Nicoletta before, and she was like, oh my God, I never even thought about that. You know, and lots of people, I would say to a lot of people, and people are like, oh my God, what? When you want to go for a holiday or anything like that, don't think about saving. Like, it's like, okay, I need to save money for this, but I already have to save money for that. Think about, how am I going to make the money to go on this holiday? And I know that sounds insane. You're like, what? Like, if you know your holiday is going to cost you €300, be like, what can I do between now and that holiday I'm going to make €300 extra to do whatever? And like, it sounds insane, but there's lots of things you can do.
I've never heard this in my life.
There's a lot of things you can do, as in like, if your lifestyle is increasing, right? Be like, don't be like, oh, I need to save more. It's like, how much? Be like, how am I going to make more? Like, remember I told you, like, it's about making more, you know, like, obviously, I'm not going to talk about what we said, because I'm not talking about that on the podcast, but the idea is you should think about making more money, not think about saving more money, right? Like, make more money, don't save more money.
Oh, so yeah, right? I remember what you said. It's like if you want to live a better, like you were saying something like, oh, I want to live a better lifestyle. So my thought process is, how do I make more money? Exactly. Not how do I save more money, you know, like, or do less things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't need to cut from your lifestyle to do what you want. You should think of, how do I make more money to improve my lifestyle, you know? And like, whether it's a side hustle of like, okay, I'm going to do this for a little bit, and that's going to make me like, fuck. You could even do things simple as like, buy a bunch of stuff for your cheap and then sell on Amazon or Facebook Marketplace for more.
But also, like, if you don't want that kind of like hustle type of life, just, you know, try to upskill, try to find a better job. Yeah. You know, switch careers. Because, you know, I understand that, like, the whole, you know, buying and selling, a lot of this hustle kind of
it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
Yeah, and that's why I said the most important investment that you should care about first is investing in yourself. Because even if you don't give a shit about stocks, crypto, what was it, drop shipping, all these other things that people do for stuff, just invest in yourself so you can then make more money in whatever path you're in. Whether it's getting a job, whether it's getting a higher salary, maybe it's changing jobs. Like, for example, let's say you're an engineer and like you're like, damn, all my friends are making way more money, I want to make more money, but finding these jobs, switching jobs is hard. Go invest in yourself. Go grind lead code, grind all these things. Go do whatever so that you can ace every single interview you go into. You know, like, that's like, you have to invest in yourself if you want to see improvements in your life. Like, and that's why I said the most important investment is yourself. Everything else comes second. The first top foremost thing is you.
Even if that means marrying a richer man.
Yeah, that's also a very big investment in yourself. Women have the luxury of doing that. It's very rare that a guy will ever find a woman so rich that wants to take care of him, because she'd be like,
This isn't the topic of discussion.
I know, understand.
Anyway, would you say in this economy that buying a home is a good investment? Because I've been hearing a lot of like, oh, the housing market is gonna crash, the prices are gonna crash, this is not a good time to buy, la la la.
I'll tell you a word of advice right now. It's never a good time to buy. It's never a good time to buy. There is no such thing as a good time to buy. There is never any such a thing, no matter where you live in the world, there's a good time to buy. And that's why I said, buy something you know you can afford to pay off. You know, do not buy a house that you cannot afford. Buy something that's within your means. Because whether the housing market crashes or not, you will still continue to pay off your mortgage at whatever rate you have to pay until you refinance it, whether to bring it down or whatever. You know, like, it doesn't matter. The flow of the market shouldn't affect you because you shouldn't have bought something that was above your means in the first place, right? So it's never a good time to buy. It's whatever time suits you is when you should buy. Like, if you want to time the market and buy a house so it's cheap, so that when the market goes up, whatever, if you want to buy if you buy it up and then it goes down, oh my God, I could have got it for, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, you have to know the reason why you're buying a house. And that's why I said it's never a good time to buy a house. It's whatever time suits you to buy a house. And that's the best thing. And obviously, everything goes up, everything goes down. Houses go up, houses go down. It's like everything, stocks, everything, like, it's just a constant, like, it's a U. It's constantly up and down. It's a roller coaster. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It all goes up and down. So, yeah, it's not a good time to buy the house. You literally buy a house this year. Next year, it's worth half the price you bought it for. You're like, shit, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But guess what? In 10 years, it's going to go back to where you bought it or even more, because that's how it works.
Maybe that stock that you invested in, that you guys invested in GameStop, thousands of euros, will go up eventually.
Stocks is different because you have to pick the right stocks.
No, I'm obviously joking, but yeah, I do think that's important. Like,
yeah, when it comes to houses.
I don't think it's ever. Also, I don't think it's ever like a wrong time to invest in property. I think like, you own a piece of earth. You know what I mean? Like, a piece of earth is yours. Yeah. That is a big.
There's only finite pieces of earth until we go to Mars.
Exactly.
And even at then, it's Earth, not Mars.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really important. Then, on to the last segment of today is decorating and buying stuff.
Shouldn't
for a house.
You be talking about that? No. Like, all I did was pay. Well, to be honest, I also decided, don't get it twisted. I was like, I like this. But let me just be frank with you. This is a tough battle to fight because Nicolette is so picky about things. Like, I'm very minimal. I like minimalistic stuff. I don't think there's too much I need. There's a lot of, like there were obviously things I had to put my foot down that she was like, let's get it. I was like, but think about this. Do we really need this? Especially when we don't plan on staying in this house for long, you know? But she's just like, I want this, obviously. So I was just there to gauge, like, yo, calm down. Or I'd be like, yeah, I agree. That's a good thing. Yeah. Because, like, you also have to do that for yourself. Like, even if you are planning to live in your house forever, you don't have to buy everything in one go. Oh, no, like, 100%. Relax your pockets.
There's, like, a list of things, like, over time, let's do this, let's do that, or whatever. But, like, I knew that if we were to live here, I would have also put my foot down and I would have gotten my way in a lot of different ways. But I put my foot down for the thing. Well, I didn't even have to. For the things that I knew I liked, like the kitchen table and the chairs. I was like, let's shop around, let's look around, let's pick something that we like. And, you know, we found something that we liked. And then Farouk just, like, gave me his card over. So I don't think there was, like, a lot of, I don't want to say fighting, but a lot of back and forth between necessary things for the house, you know? I think that was
what's necessary. Yeah. Because, like, as I said, I really don't plan on living in this house. So, like, obviously I want the house to be nice, but I don't want it to be like, oh my God, this is like, I want it to be so nice because I'm living here forever kind of thing. Because, like, I'm not. Like, you want it to be nice so that the next tenants enjoy the house, but you also you get to enjoy the house, but you don't want it to be like, oh my God, I put so much money in this house and I'm getting none of that back. Yeah. You know, like, because you have to think about it, like, you have to add that to the value of the house and then see how much you're getting back for it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to the home decor and stuff, I like a lot of different things. So I was like, I need some help here. So I think Pinterest is really your friend. Like, for months before, you know, moving into the house, I was collecting data to the point that Pinterest knew me so well. I was like, I want something like this, something like this, something like this. So then by the time it came to actually buying stuff, I was pretty sure of what I wanted. I just needed to find it. And I think places like Amazon are your friend, where you can find cheap enough things, you know, that are aesthetic, if that's your vibe, around the house. It's just maybe poking holes in the wall that might be the issue. But Farouk made it happen nonetheless. Or like painting a wall. That was something that wasn't necessarily expensive, but it was like effort that we're like, okay, we need to do this because I want to do this. And I think really adds to the vibe. Shop around also. There's always like there's a lot of different stores, and there's always like some sale in others, you know, like Easy Living was doing like really good deals at the time when we were looking. We got a couch and an armchair for a really good price, and things like that. Yeah. Oh, another thing I think I would say is like, if you see something that you really like, buy it then and there, because you will forget. There's so many things involved in like a house that you're not going to think about the basket that you wanted to have in your kitchen. You know what I mean? There's like a lot of big different things that are going to get in the way, and there's like...
But don't impulsive buy everything either.
No, not impulsive buy it, but if there's something that you have your eye on there, like, okay, I really like whatever it is that, you know, a microwave that you like for the kitchen, but then you're like forgetting about it, and then a month later you're like, oh, I don't have a microwave. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Also have somewhere to store stuff, because damn, there's a lot of things. Like moving everything in, carrying stuff, building stuff is very long. Like definitely like, and try build up as much as you can. Like for example, we got IKEA beds upstairs, and at first I was going to pay them to like assemble it, but then I saw the price of assembly. I was like, ew, no.
I can do myself.
And then when we got all the boxes, I was like, oh my god, maybe I should have told them. And then I did it, and it was actually super easy. Like I've built a lot of IKEA stuff, so like it was just time. But it was actually, I thought it was going to take a lot more time than it did, but it didn't. Actually, it was really fast. I did it really fast. Like I was on my 1, 2, like solo. It was like, and the instruction tells you 2 people should build it. I did it by myself. So you know, like it's actually really easy. A lot of those things, you just do it. Like you can do it really quickly. Like obviously, if you're not someone who's like handy, like it might be a little bit harder, you know, like to figure all those things out. I said
like the instructions
like,
are pretty clear.
Yeah, but I mean like in the sense that like it might take you more time.
It will, exactly. But you can do it.
Yeah, you can
believe in yourself. I built a lot of furniture while still in our old place, because I didn't want to waste the whole day if I had like my lunchtime that I was free, or like in the mornings when I was free, or a little after work. I didn't want to come bring all the stuff here to build it here. I was like, I have the time at home, I can just get started on this now. And so like there's a few things like, you know, the shoe holder, the TV stand, you know, like kind of these kind of things that I was like, okay, let me build it at home, put in the car and bring it here. So kind of, I think it made things a little bit easier. It took time. Some things were more difficult than others, but like...
Lots of fuel. Going back and forth.
But you know, a lot of people would like get a one-time van and just, that's it.
Which is the best thing to do, honestly.
It is, yeah.
Like, see, now I've done both, because we've done the van when we were bringing our stuff to Dublin, to move our stuff into our 1-bedroom apartment before we moved here, and just doing everything. Like, yes, you have a frick bunch of stuff like all day, but like you sort it out over time. But here, like the pro of doing multiple trips is that you can sort things as you go. You don't feel overwhelmed with having a bunch of stuff you have to do everywhere. But it's so time consuming. Like for like a week and a half straight, we were going in between this house every day.
But the thing is, like, there are a lot of different small things that, like, say, if we were to fully just move in, like the table wouldn't have built, the beds wouldn't have been built. You know, like, because it's a new build and there's nothing in the house, making different trips made sense. Because if you were to just, okay, now you're here and we have absolutely nothing, like, we need to build everything from scratch and, like, you know, clean the floors.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, it kind of, good and bad. Like, we could have definitely, like, built the stuff and then moved everything in one go. Yeah. I think that would have made the most sense, but you live in there.
Well, the table was delivered here. Yeah. Like, we couldn't have built the beds there and then have both beds delivered. It was easier to build the beds here. Like, they're just a lot of different things with like a new home. I think if you're just moving to a place that has all the furniture, it makes sense to just
what I was saying, that you build it after it delivered, build it and then move in.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're in our old apartment trying to build a king size bed.
No. I meant you deliver it here. We come here. We build those things.
Yeah.
And then instead of doing all the little trips we did after the fact of building them.
Yeah.
Like we should have done one trip building
But
the van.
there were things that took time. Like cleaning the
Yeah.
floors took a very, 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 very long time.
Yeah.
That I didn't think it would. But there was like, I don't know, I guess the way the flooring guys worked, there was a lot of paint splatter and like things that just didn't come off as easily, and I had to use like one of Farouk's tools, and there was just so much to clean the floors, especially because at Farouk's like, I'm very picky, so if I like see like a spot of something, like I need to clean it, and that just took so long.
Yeah. But in the end of the day, it's all done now. We're moved in. Everything's here. Everyone's happy, everyone's excited, my parents are like,
Yeah.
oh my god, our son is got the house, shut them up, it made them quiet, like everyone, like all that stuff. So it is done, and it is obviously like something like I'm like, cool, on to the next thing. Yeah. Checkbox. We move on. Next thing you know, so like you'll see this set for a few months.
Yeah.
And then bada bing, bada boom, boom, pow, bomb, new set. And if there isn't, it must be a clone sitting here talking to you guys.
Something must have went wrong.
It's not me talking to you. It can't be me talking to you. I'm gone for sure. If this set might be here, but I'm gone. So yeah, that's the goal. Obviously, we just keep moving. That's how I like to live my life. I like to move on from one goal to the next. So now I'm 25, like trying to do things quickly. So it's calm still.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode on all things home, how to buy a home. Hope it gave you some sense of what it's like and what you need and what you don't need and all that good stuff.
Yeah, hopefully it was informative and you enjoyed it as well. It wasn't just a rant about buying a house in Ireland.
It was a bit of a rant.
Yeah, but it's an enjoyable rant.
Yeah.
So anyway, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Shout out to Nicoletta. I know you guys are looking at the table and like, oh my god, that's a lovely table. That's a lovely back. Those are lovely chairs. She'll probably give a tour of the house at some point and show you guys maybe
when we're moving out.
Yeah, because we don't really want you to know where we live. Unless like you're one of the homies.
If you're invited. Yeah.
But yeah.
Till next time.
Peace.